Hello, and welcome back to Tangents on Cracked Spines with your host, Frankie. We have a different background for those of you who watch this. It's because I'm doing this during daylight hours, so there may be more commentary than just mine because my mother is awake and the cats are more awake as well. So we'll see how this goes. I'm also sitting next to their cat carriers that they use as abodes during the day. Anyways, about this. Tangents on Cracked Spine. So I'm reading works in the public domain, for those of you who don't know, and I don't edit this, so there's a lot of stream of thought commentary. And as I said, there's another person awake today, so you get more than just my commentary. You will at least get snickering, which is why I actually don't have my headset in today, so that you can hear everybody and not just me. And again, if you hear a tick, 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 it's my ceiling fan. We are reading a Nonsense Anthology still, which means there's no summary. It's just a bunch of poems strung together. I appear to, read it in clumps that kind of work together. Last time, it was mostly stuff that was really hard to say because there was a lot of alliteration and what I think was supposed to be Latin. So no summary. It's just they're poems. They are either really fun or make no sense, hence a nonsense anthology. And before I begin, I have to put my little disclaimer out there. Just because it says it's nonsense does not mean that it's intended for all audiences. There tends to be adult themes and or violence and death, so listener discretion is advised, especially for those under 13. Pretty sure I have all of these marked as explicit, but I don't have service to check. Anyways, moving on. Now that I'm 3 minutes in, dear Lord. Hi, Katie. The famous ballad of the Jubilee Cup. You may lift me up in your arms, lad, and turn my face to the sun, for a last look back at the dear old track where the Jubilee Cup was won, and draw your chair to my side, lad. No, thank you, I feel no pain, for I'm going out with the tide, lad, but I'll tell you the tale again. I feel like I really should be pronouncing again a lot, because that's the way it rhymes. I'm 79, or nearly. My head, it has long turned gray, but it all comes back as clearly as though it was yesterday. The dust and the bookies shouting, and the clerks of the scales, and the clerks of the course, and the knobs and the fours, and His Highness the Prince of Wales. I want to know why Prince of Wales has a lot of asterisks in it, like it's a bad word. 'Twas a 9-hole thresh to windward, but none of us cared for that. With a straight run home to the surface tee and a finish along the flat. Stiff? Yeah, well, you may say it. Spot barred and at 5 stone 10, but at 2 and a bisque I'd run the risk, for I was a greenhorn then. So we stripped to the B-ray signal, the old red swallowtail. There was young Ben Bolt and the Portland Colt and Aston Villa and Yale, and W.G. and Steinitz, Leander and the Saint, and the German Empress's meteor looking as fresh as paint. Sorry, I had to figure out what G******N was. German. John Roberts, Scratch, and Safety Match, the Lascar and Lorna Doone, Paul Abai, and Romany Rye, and me upon wooden spoon. And some of us cut for partners, and some of us strung for bulk, and some of us tossed for stations. But there, what use to talk? 3/4 back on the Kingsclear crack was station enough for me, with a fresh Jack Yarder blowing and the Vicarage goal a lee. And I leaned and patted her centre bit, and eased the quid in her cheek, with a "Saw my lass, and a woe you brute," for she could do all but speak. She was geared a thought too high, perhaps. She was trained a trifle fine, but she had the grand reach forward. I never saw such a line. Smooth bored, clean run from her fiddle head, with its dainty ear half cock, hard bit, purse sang, from her overhang to the heel of her off hind sock. Sir Robert, he walked beside me as I worked her down to the mark. "There's money on this, my lad," said he, "and most of 'em's running dark. But ease the sheet if you're bunkered, and pack the scrummages tight, and use your slide at the distance, and we'll drink to your health tonight." Also, interjection that has nothing to do with this. Those of you watching this, yes, those are mannequin heads behind me. I have a business. I try to sell those things. Not the mannequin heads. The things on the mannequin heads. But I bent and tightened my stretcher. Said I to myself, said I, "John Jones, this here is the Jubilee Cup, and you have to do or die." And the words weren't hardly spoken when the umpire shouted "play," and we all kicked off from the gasworks end with the yoicks and a gone away. And at first I thought of nothing, as the clay flew by in lumps, but stuck to the old Rye Lopez, and wondered who'd called for trumps, and luffed her close to the cushion, and watched each one as it broke. And in triple file up the Rowley Mile we went like a trail of smoke. The Lascar made the running, but he didn't amount to much, for old Paul was quick on the ball and headed it back to touch. And the whole first flight led off with the right, as the Saint took up the pace, and drove it clean to the putting green, and trumped it there with an ace. I don't know whether this is nonsense or whether I just know nothing about horse racing. 'Cause I don't. John Roberts had given a miss in bulk, but Villa cleared with a punt, and keeping her service hard and low, the Meteor forged to the front, with Romany Rye to windward adore me, and two to play and Yale close up, but a Jubilee Cup isn't run for every day. We laid our course for the Warner. I tell you the pace was hot, and again off Tottenham Corner a blanket covered the lot. Check side, now steer her wide, and barely an inch of room, with the Lascar's tail over our lee rail, and brushing Leander's boom. How long is this poem? Boom. We were running as strong as ever, 8 knots, but it couldn't last, for the spray and the bales were flying, the whole field tailing fast, and the Portland colt had shot his bolt, and Yale was bumped at the Doves, and the Lascar resigned to Steinez, stalemated in 15 moves. It was Bellows to mend with Roberts, starred 3 for a penalty kick, but he chalked his cue and gave him the bud, and Paul marked the trick. Offside, no ball, and at 14 all, mark cock and 2 for his knob. when WG ran clean through his lee and beat him twice with a lob. He yorked him twice on a crumbling pitch and wiped his eye with a brace, but his guy rope split with the strain of it and he dropped back out of the race. And I drew a bead on the Meteor's lead and, challenging none too soon, bent over and patted her garboard strake and called upon Wooden Spoon. She was all of a shiver forward and spoon drift thick on her flanks, but I'd brought her an easy gambit and nursed her over the banks. She answered her helm, the darling, and woke up now with a rush. While the Meteor's jock, he sat like a rock, he knew he rode for his brush. There was no one else left in it, the Saint was using his whip, and safety match with a lofting catch was pocketed deep at slip. And young Ben Bolt with his nimblick took Miss Leander's lunge, but topped the net with the ricochet, and Steinitz threw up the sponge. But none of the lot could stop the rot. Nay, don't ask me to stop. The villa had called for lemons, Paul had taken his drop, and both were kicking the referee. Poor fellow, he'd done his best. I didn't think there was a referee in horse racing. But being in doubt, he'd ruled them out, which he always did when pressed. So inch by inch I tightened the winch and chucked the sandbags out. I heard the nursery cannons pop. I heard the bookies shout. The Meteor wins! No Wooden Spoon! Check! Vantage, leg before, last lap. Press nap. Pass nap. At his saddle flap I put up the helm and wore. You may overlap at the saddle flap and yet be lewd on the tape, but it all depends upon changing ends how a 7-year-old will shape. It was tack and tack to the lep and back, a fair ding-dong to the ridge, and he led by his forward canvas yet as we shot 'neath Hammersmith Bridge. He led by his forward canvas, he led from his strongest suit, but along we went on a roaring scent, and at Folly I gained a foot. He fisted off with his jigger and gave me his wash too late. Deuce, vantage, check, by neck and neck we rounded into the straight. I could hear the conquering arrow a crashing on Godfrey's band, and my hopes fell sudden to zero, just there with the race in hand. In sight of the turf's blue ribbon, in sight of the Empire's tape, as I felt the tack of her spinnaker crack, as I heard the steam escape. Had I lost at that awful juncture of my presence of mind? But no, I leaned and felt for the puncture and plunged it there with my toe. Plugged it hand over hand by the member's stand. I lifted and eased her up. Shot clean and fair to the crossbar there and landed the Jubilee Cup. The odd by a head and leg before, so the judge he gave the word, and the umpire shouted over, but I neither spoke nor stirred. They crowded round, for there on the ground I lay in a dead cold swoon, pitched neck and crop on the turf atop of my beautiful Wooden Spoon. Her dewlap tire was punctured, her bearings all red hot. She'd a lolling tongue and her bowsprit sprung and her running gear in a knot. And amid the sobs of her backers, Sir Robert loosened her girth and led her away to the knackers. She had raced her last on earth. That's sad. But I mind me well of the tear that fell from the eye of our noble prince, and the things he said as he tucked me in bed, and I've lain there ever since. Though it all gets mixed up queerly, that happened before my spill, but I draw my 1,000 yearly. It'll pay for the doctor's bill. I'm going out with the tide, lad. You'll dig me a numble grave. And whiles you will bring your bride, lad, and your sons, if sons you have. And there, when the dews are weeping, and the echoes murmur peace, and the salt, salt tide comes creeping, and covers the popping crease. In the hour when the ducks deposit their eggs with a boasted force, they'll look and whisper, how was it? And you'll take them over the course, and your voice will break as you try to speak of the glorious 1st of June, When the Jubilee cup with John Jones up was won upon wooden spoon. Arthur T. Quillercouch. Couch? I don't know. That one was sad. I can't believe it was 11 minutes. I didn't make that much commentary. Anyways. A Song of Impossibilities. Lady, I loved you all last year, and honestly, well, alas, would weary you to hear and torture me to tell. I raved beneath the midnight sky, I sang beneath the limes. Okay. Orlando in my lunacy, and Petrarch in my rhymes. But all is over when the sun dries up the boundless main. When black is white, false-hearted one, I may be yours again. When passion's early hopes and fears are not derided things. When truth is found in falling tears, or faith in golden rings. When the dark fates that rule our way instruct me where they hide. One woman that would ne'er betray, one friend that never lied. When summer shines without a cloud, and bliss without a pain, when worth is noticed in a crowd, I may be yours again. When science pours the light of day upon the lords of lands, when Huskisson is heard to say that Lethbridge understands, when wrinkles work their ways in youth, or Eldon's in a hurry, when lawyers represent the truth, that'll never happen, or Mr. Sumner Surrey, when aldermen taste eloquence, or bricklayers champagne, when common law is common sense, I may be yours again. So never. When I learned judges play the bow, or learned pigs the tabor, when Traveller Banks beat Cicero, or Mr. Bishop Weber, when sinking funds discharge a debt, or female hands a bomb, when bankrupts study the Gazette, or colleges Tom Thumb, when little fishes learn to speak, or poets not to feign, when Dr. Geldart construes Greek, I may be yours again. When Poland Thornton honor checks, oh my, or Mr. Consta Rogue, when Jericho's in Middlesex, or minutes in vogue, or minuets in vogue. When Highgate goes to Devonport, or fashion to Guildhall, when argument is heard at court, or Mr. Wynne at all. When Sidney Smith forgets to jest, or farmers to complain, when kings that are not the best, I may be yours again. When peers from telling money shrink, or monks from telling lies, when hydrogen begins to sink, or Grecian script to rise, when German poets cease to dream, Americans to guess, when freedom sheds her holy beam on and the press, when there is any fear of Rome, or any hope of Spain, when Ireland is a happy home, I may be yours again. When you can cancel what has been, or alter what must be, or bring once more that vanished scene, those withered joys to me. When you can tune the broken lute, or deck the blighted wreath, or rear the garden's richest fruit upon a blasted heath. When you can lure the wolf at bay back to his shattered chain, today may then be yesterday, I may be yours again. W.M. Prade. What a way to say, yeah, I'm not yours. Go away. Gesundheit. Salud.
Danke.
Bitte. Trust in women. When these things follow... Let me read this properly. Trust in women. When these things following be done to our intent, then put women in trust and confident. When nettles in winter bring forth roses red, and all manner of thorn trees bear figs naturally, and geese bear pearls in every mead, and laurel bear cherries abundantly, and oaks bear dates very plenteously, and kisks give of honey superfluence, then put women in trust and confidence. When box bear paper in every land and town, and thistles bear berries in every place, and pikes have naturally feathers in their crown, and bulls of the sea sing a good bass, and men be the ship's fishes trace, and in women be found no incipience, then put them in trust and confidence. Yes, like men aren't also insipid. When whitings do walk forests to chase harts, and herrings their horns in forests boldly blow, and marmosets mourn in moors and lakes, and garnered shoot rooks out of a crossbow, and goslings hunt the wolf to overthrow, and sprats bear spears in arms of defense, then put women in trust and confidence. When swine be cunning in all points of music, and asses be doctors of every science, and cats do heal men by practicing of physic, and buzzards to scripture give any credence, and merchants buy with horn instead of groats and pence, and pies be made poets for their eloquence, then put women in trust and confidence. When sparrows build churches on a height, and wrens carry sacks unto the mill, and curlews carry timber houses to dight, and formals bear butter to market to sell, and woodcocks bear wood knives, cranes to kill, and greenfinches to goslings do obedience, then put women in trust and confidence. When crows take salmon in woods and parks, and bee take with swifts and snails, and camels in the air take swallows and larks, and mice move mountains by wagging of their tails, and shipmen take a ride instead of sails, and when wives to their husbands do no offense, then put women in trust and confidence. When antelopes surmount eagles in flight, and swans be swifter than hawks of the tower, and wrens set goshawks by force and might, and muskets make verjuice of crabs sour, and ships sail on dry land, silt give flour, and apes in Westminster give judgment and sentence, then put women in trust and confidence. First of all, we are technically apes, so there are apes in Westminster, so But also, yeah, no wonder you're anonymous. The flack you'd get on that. Whew. You can't trust women. You can't confide in them anything. The only thing he left out was when pigs fly. Here is the tale after Rudyard Kipling. Here is the tale, and you must make the most of it. Here is the rhyme, listen and attend. Backwards, forwards, read it all, and boast of it if you are anything the wiser at the end. Now Jack looked up, it was time to sup, and the bucket was yet to fill. And Jack looked round for a space and frowned, then beckoned his sister Jill. And twice he pulled his sister's hair, and thrice he smote her side. So did Jill push him down the hill then? 'Cause I would've. Ha done with your impudent fun, ha done with your game, she cried. You have made mud pies of a marvelous size, finger and face are black. You have trodden the way of the mire and clay, now up and wash you, Jack. Or else, or ever we reach our home, there waits an angry dame. Well, you know the weight of her blow, the supperless open shame. Wash if you will on yonder hill, wash if you will at the spring, or keep your dirt to your certain hurt and an imminent walloping. You must wash, you must scrub, you must scrape. You must wash, you must scrub you must scrape, growled Jack. You must traffic with cans and pails, nor keep the spoil of the good brown soil in the rim of your fingernails. The morning path you must tread to your bath, you must wash ere the night descends. And all for the cause of the conventional laws and the soap-maker's dividends. But if 'tis sooth that our meal in truth depends on our washing, Jill, by the sacred right of our appetite, haste, haste to the top of the hill. They have trodden the way of the mire and clay, they have toiled and travelled far. They have climbed to the brow of the hilltop now, where the bubbling fountains are. They have taken the bucket and filled it up, yea, filled it up to the brim. But Jack, he sneered at his sister Jill, and Jill, she jeered at him. What, blown already? Jack cried out, and his in a biting mirth. You boast indeed of your wonderful speed, but what is the boasting worth? Now, if you can run as an antelope runs, and if you can turn like a hare, come race me, Jill, to the foot of the hill, and prove your boasting fair. Race? What is a race? And a mocking face had Jill as she spake the word. Unless for a prize the runner tries, the truth indeed ye heard. For I can run as the antelope runs, and I can turn like a hare. The first one down wins half a crown, and I will race you there. Yea, if the lesson that you will learn, the lesson of humbled pride, the price you fixed at 2 and 6, it shall not be denied. Come take your stand at my right hand, for there is mark me we what toe. Now are you ready and are you steady? Gird up your petticoats, go! And Jill she ran like a winging bolt, and a bolt from the bow released. But Jack like a stream of lightning gleam with its pathway duly greased. He ran down the hill in front of Jill like a summer lightning flash, till he suddenly tripped on a stone or slipped and fell to the earth with a crash. Then straight did rise on his wondering eyes the constellations fair, Arcturus and the Pleiades, the greater and lesser bear. The swirling rain of a comet's train he saw as he swiftly fell, and Jill came tumbling after him with a loud triumphant yell. You have won, the race is done, and as for the wager laid, you have fallen down with a broken crown, the half-crown debt is paid. They have taken Jack to the room at the back where the family medicines are, and he lies in bed with a broken head and a halo of vinegar. While in that Jill had laughed her fill as her brother fell to earth, she had felt the sting of a walloping, she hath paid the price of her mirth. Here's the tale, and now you have the whole of it. Here's the story, well and wisely planned. Beauty, duty, these make up the soul of it. But my little readers, you mark and understand. Anthony C. Dean. Well, that was a new take on the old nursery rhyme. Ooh. Alright. The Old Wife. I'm assuming that's, old. The old wife sat at her ivied door, butter and eggs and a pound of cheese, a thing she had frequently done before, and her spectacles lay on her aproned knees. The piper he piped on the hilltop, butter and eggs and a pound of cheese, till the cow said, I die, and the goose asked why, and the dog said nothing but searched for fleas. The farmer he strode through the square farmyard, butter and eggs and a pound of cheese. His last brew of ale was a trifle hard, the connection of which with the plot one sees. The farmer's daughter hath frank blue eyes, butter and eggs and a pound of cheese. She hears the rooks call in the windy skies, and she sits on her lattice and shells her peas. The farmer's daughter hath ripe red lips, butter and eggs and a pound of cheese. If you try to approach her, away she skips over tables and chairs with apparent ease. The farmer's daughter hath soft brown hair. Why are we going on about I don't like where this is going.
I was like, milkman's kid?
The farmer's daughter hath soft brown hair, butter and eggs, and a pound of cheese, and I met with a ballad, I can't say where, which wholly consists of lines like these. She sat with her hands neath her dimpled cheeks, butter and eggs, and a pound of cheese, and spake not a word. While a lady speaks there is hope, but she didn't even sneeze. She sat with her hands neath her crimson cheeks, butter and eggs, and a pound of cheese. She gave up mending her father's breeks, and let the cat roll in her in her best chemise. She sat with her hands neath her burning cheeks, butter and eggs, and a pound of cheese, and gazed at the piper for 13 weeks. Then she followed him out over the misty leas. Her sheep followed her as their tails did them, butter and eggs, and a pound of cheese, and the song is considered a perfect gem, and as to the meaning, it's what you please. Charles S. Calvary. Well, that didn't quite go where I thought it was, so I'm happy about that. Now, you're not going to notice, but I'm pausing for a minute. I need drink. I started reading and all the cats took a nap. Am I that bad? I see one. The other one I'm assuming is in the chair. Not I. Some like drink in a pint pot, some like to think, some not. Strong Dutch cheese, old Kentucky rye, some like these, not I. Some like Poe and others like Scott, some like Mrs. Stowe, some not. Some like to laugh, some like to cry, some like to chafe, not I. R.L. Stevenson. Well, that was short and sweet.
Yeah.
Minnie and Winnie. Minnie and Winnie slept in a shell, sleep little ladies, and they slept well. Pink was the shell within, silver without, sounds of the great sea wandered about. Sleep little ladies, wake not soon, echo on echo dies to the moon. 2 bright stars peeped into the shell, what are they dreaming of, who can tell? Startled a green linnet out of the croft, wake little ladies, the sun is aloft. Lord Tennyson. The Mayor of Scuttleton. I don't know. I want to know, is that a made-up town or is that a real town? You can never tell. The Mayor of Scuttleton burned his nose trying to warm his copper toes. He lost his money and spoiled his will by signing his name with an icicle quill. He went bareheaded and held his breath and frightened his grandame most to death. He loaded a shovel and tried to shoot and killed the calf in the leg of his boot. Okay, his calf. That's less bad that he hurt himself. He melted a snowbird and formed the habit of dancing jigs with a sad Welsh rabbit. He lived on taffy and taxed the town and read his newspaper upside down. Then he sighed and hung his hat on a feather. Wait, I didn't think he wore one. And bade the townspeople come together. But the worst of all was nobody knew what the Mayor of Scuttleton next would do. Mary Mapes Dodge. That's kind of funny. And yes, I am not disparaging eating meat, by the way. I'm just saying you shouldn't just randomly shoot a cow, especially a calf. The purple cow. I never saw a purple cow. I never hope to see one. But I can tell you anyhow, I'd rather see than be one. I'm assuming that's anonymous. But also, I don't know. Jersey cows are like this beautiful gray that in the right light would look purple. And Jerseys are such sweet cows. Envoy. Ah, yes, I wrote the purple cow. I'm sorry now I wrote it. But I can tell you anyhow, I'll kill you if you quote it. Gillette Burgess. The Invisible Bridge. I'd never dare to walk across a bridge I could not see, for quite afraid of falling off, I fear that I should be. Alright, it's Gillette Burgess till I tell you otherwise. The lazy roof. The roof, it has a lazy time, a lying in the sun. The walls, they have to hold him up. They do not have much fun. My feet. My feet, they haul me round the house. They hoist me up the stairs. I only have to steer them, and they ride me everywheres. Fair. The hen. Alas, my child, where is the pen that can do justice to the hen? The royalty, she goes her way, laying foundations every day, though not for the public buildings, yet for custard, cake, and omelet. Or if too old for such a use, they have their fling at some abuse, as when to censure plays unfit upon the stage they make a hit, or at elections seal the fate of an obnoxious candidate. No wonder, child, the prize the hen, whose egg is mightier than the pen. Oliver Herford. And throwing it out there, as soon as I can, properly keep them heated, warm in the winter, without having them in the house, I will also be having chickens, partly for eggs, partly to make sure that the ticks stay very low levels. Because every time I go out into my yard, I get one fucking tick. Pardon my French. The cow. Were these poets all on, farms and, trying to look for inspiration? Like that... Well, isn't there, a poem about the trees? And...
I think he lived on a lake.
But, this is what I'm picturing. They're just all, chewing on their quill, being like, what do I write? Look, there's a cow! The cow is too well known, I fear, to need an introduction here. If she should vanish from Earth's face, it would be hard to fill her place. For with the cow would disappear so much that everyone holds dear. Oh, think of all the boots and shoes, milk punches, Gladstone bags and stews. The things too numerous to count, on which, my child, she is the fount. Let's hope at least that fount may last until our generation's past. More Oliver Herford, and it's Oliver Herford till I say otherwise. The chimpanzee. Children, behold the chimpanzee, he sits on the ancestral tree, from which we sprang in ages gone. I'm glad we sprang. Had we held on, we might, for aught that I can say, be horrid chimpanzees today. They're not necessarily horrid. I mean, they do hunt other apes, but so do we. The hippopotamus. Well, they don't hunt other apes. They hunt monkeys. They eat little... They actually make spears and, hunt little capuchins, I think. Some little red monkey. The hippopotamus. Oh, say, what is the fearful, wild, incorrigible cuss? This creature... Don't say cuss, my child, 'tis slang. The creature fierce is styled the hippopotamus. His curious name derives its source from two Greek words. Hippos, a horse, potamus, river. See? The river's plain enough, of course, but why they called that thing a horse, that's what is Greek to me. That is kind of funny. And also, if any animal scares me, it's a hippo. Because, whoo. The platypus! My child, the duck-billed platypus, a sad example sets for us. From he we learn how indecision of character provokes derision. This vacillating thing you see could not decide which he would be. Fish, flesh, or fowl, and chose all three. The scientists were sorely vexed to classify him, so perplexed their brains that they, with rage at bay, call him a horrid name one day. A name that baffles, frights, and shocks us. The sad part is I actually took mammalogy. Ornithorhynchus paradoxus. And in case you didn't know, a platypus is technically a mammal. It has hair. It has mammary glands. It just kind of like sweats the milk for its young to eat. It doesn't have teats. And it has a dentary squamosa. So instead of having an extra bone in its ear, it has an extra bone in its jaw. So even though it looks like a bill, it's got a jaw like other mammals. And that is the main thing that derives mammals from other creatures, is that instead of having more bones in our ears, we have more bones in our mouth. It's just a very old version of mammals. Because it's still oviparous. It lays its eggs outside instead of inside. Some geese. Every child who has the use of his senses knows a goose. Honk, honk, honk. See them underneath the tree, gather round the goose girl's knee, while she reads them by the hour from the works of Schopenhauer. How patiently the geese attend, but do they really comprehend what Schopenhauer's driving at? Oh, not at all, but what of that? Neither do I, neither does she, and for that matter, nor does he. I like that. The flamingo. Inspired by reading a chorus of spirits in a German play. First voice. Oh, tell me, have you ever seen a red long-legged flamingo? Oh, tell me, have you ever yet seen him the water go? In go. Second voice. Oh, yes, at Bowling Green I've seen a red long-legged flamingo. Oh, yes, at Bowling Green I've there seen him the water in go. First voice. Oh, tell me, did you ever see a bird so funny stando? When forth he from the water comes and gets upon the lando? Second voice. No, in my life I ne'er did see a bird so funny stando, when forth he from the water comes and gets upon the lando. First voice. He has a leg some 3 feet long, or near it, so they say, sir. Stiff upon one leg he stands, to other he stows away, sir. Second voice. I wonder what an ugly head he's got. I wonder what that he'd wear it. But rather more I wonder that his long thin neck can bear it. First voice. And think this length of neck and legs, no doubt they have their uses, are members of a little frame much smaller than a goose's. Both. Oh, isn't he a curious bird, that red long-legged flamingo? A water bird, a gawky bird, a singular bird by jingo. Lewis Gaylord Clark. And I know I normally wrap up about now, but I want to read more. And I can, because I run this podcast. And none of y'all actually tell me whether you like longer podcasts or if you'd rather me cut it off at 30 minutes. I go to an hour because some of these books, we'd be reading them for the entire year if I cut off at a half hour. Kindness to animals. Speak gently to the herring and kindly to the calf. Be blithesome with the bunny. At barnacles don't laugh. Give nuts unto the monkey and buns unto the bear. That's how you get bears in your trash. Ne'er hint at currant jelly if you chance to see a hare. O little girls, pray hide your combs when tortoises draw nigh, and never in the hearing of a pigeon whisper pie, but give the stranded jellyfish a shove into the sea. Be always kind to animals, wherever you may be. Oh, make not game of sparrows, nor faces at the ram, and ne'er allude to mint sauce when calling on a lamb. Don't beard the thoughtful oyster, don't dare the cod to crimp, Don't cheat the pike or ever try to pot the playful shrimp. Tread lightly on the turning worm, don't bruise the butterfly. Don't ridicule the wryneck, nor sneer at salmon fry. Oh, ne'er delight to make dogs fight, nor bantams disagree. Be always kind to animals, wherever you may be. Be lenient with lobsters, and ever kind to crabs. And be not disrespectful to cuttlefish or dabs. Chase not the Cochin China, chafe not the ox obese, and babble not the feather beds in company with geese. Be tender with the tadpole, and let the limpet thrive. Be merciful to mussels, don't skin your eels alive. When talking to a turtle, don't mention Calliope. Be always kind to animals, wherever you may be. J. Ashby Sterry. J. Ashby Sterry. Let me read that right. Yeah. Sage counsel. I know the camera's over here, and I keep looking over there. I'm sorry.
Huh?
Oh, I keep looking this way because it's more natural, but my camera's this way. So the entire time I'm not looking at anybody, I'm just looking along. Sage counsel. The lion is the beast to fight. He leaps along the plain. And if you run with all your might, he runs with all his mane. I'm glad I'm not a Hottentot, but if I were, with outward column, I either faint upon the spot or hie me up a leafy palum. The chamois is the beast to hunt. He's fleeter than the wind, and when the chamois is in front, the hunter is behind. The Tyrolese make famous cheese, and the hunt the chamois o'er. The chasms I'd choose the former if you please, for precipices give me spasms. The polar bear will make a rug almost as white as snow, but if he gets you in his hug, he rarely lets you go. And polar ice looks very nice with all the colors of a prism, but if you'll follow my advice, stay home and learn your catechism. A.T. Quillercouch. One more. Yeah, one more. Of baiting the lion, you'll taste good to them. Remembering his taste for blood, you'd better bait him with a cow. Persuade the brute to chew the cud her tail, suspended from a bow. It thrills the lion through and through to hear the milky creature moo. Also, you do recognize that it's the female lion that actually kills things, right? Having arranged his simple ruse, yourself you climb a neighboring tree. See to it that the spot you choose commands the coming tragedy. Take up a smallish Maxim gun, a searchlight whiskey, and a bun. It's safer, too, to have your bike standing immediately below, in case your piece should fail to strike or deal an ineffective blow. The lion moves with perfect grace, but cannot go the scorcher's pace. Keep open ear for subtle signs, thus when the cow profusely moans, what means to say the lion dines. The crunching sound, of course, its bones. Silence resumes her ancient reign. This shows the cow is out of pain. But when a fat and torpid hum escapes the eater's unctuous noise, turn up the light and let it come full on his innocent repose. Then pour your shot between his eyes and go on pouring till he dies. Play even so discretion's part, descend with stealth, bring on your gun, then lay your hand above his heart to see if he is really done. Don't skin him till you know he's dead, or you may perish in his stead. Years hence at home, when talk is tall, you'll set the gun room wide agape, describing how with just a small pea rifle, going after ape, you met a lion unaware and felled him flying through the air. Owen Seaman. I don't like that one. Anyways, that's where we'll end for the day, and we will resume next time, still on the animal front with the frog. The frog, the yak, the python. Those are the next 3 poems.
Drop cows.
Mm. Well, the yak is related. Still a bovine. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So that's where we'll end for the day. I appreciate you listening through. This video is sponsored by Mama Shaw Designs. If you, or rather, it's supported by. And if you are interested in all of their stuff, they have a combination of handmade things like hats and cardigans, if you ask, baby blankets, belts, scarves, jewelry, lots of things, but there's also lots of print-on-demand items, things for the house, things for the home, things that you can wear. There's Pride merch, there's Tox merch, and Pride merch is not done because it's June. It's because the owner is queer. And you have a code. If you go to mamashawdesigns.com, you have a code called TOCS15, so TOCS15, and it'll give you 15% off your entire order. If you want to reach out to us, talkspod@gmail.com. The Tangents on Cracked Spines Book Club on Facebook. Personally, I'm on FrankieCore92 on most of the social medias. I don't bother with Twitter, not because of its controversies, but because I'm too lazy to have to deal with it. Anyways, again, thank you very much for listening. As always, please like, subscribe, share, follow, review. Anything will help get my voice into other people's ears. And I would very much appreciate it, because that is the one thing you can do that would truly help, is to review it, especially on Apple. And if you do, I will read the review here, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise. I will read it, and I will take the criticism in stride. And even if you just give me a thing and say, I like ice cream, at least you've reviewed it. It makes me happy. And, as always, you lasted this long, so I will go find a cat for you.
What kind of look did she give you?
She's not happy because she was cleaning. Ooh, do you want scritches? Or are you? No? You're like, no, I just want to clean myself. Do you want scritches? Nope. All right. Thank you. Bye.